Terrorism and public perceptions. I'm Brian Lilley. Wayne Easter says that public concern over terrorism is being driven by Prime Minister Stephen Harper's rhetoric. It's a fine line that the Liberals and the NDP have been using lately. They find something the public's genuinely concerned with, and then they blame all that concern on Stephen Harper. Oh, evil Harper. Well, Easter, Liberal MP, told the Hill Times that it is true terrorism is, something to be worried about, but here's the quote: "The Prime Minister has overheated the terrorism fear. This has ramped up the government machinery to look into this issue from a number of standpoints." Is that really what's happening? Or is there something more to this? I think there's something more. Easter says there's more as well, but not what I think. He says it's also the media's to blame. He says the two sort of become a self-serving destiny in that one adds to the other. So you have the government itself ramping up the issue. That creates more media coverage on the issue. Okay, so Canadians are concerned about terrorism, about ISIL or ISIS, or about radicalization. But according to Easter, it's only because Stephen Harper and the media told them to be. I'm not buying that. Are you? Let's examine a few facts here. Right now, we've got Carlos and Ashton Larmond. They're in court in Ottawa facing terrorism charges. These are the twin brothers from the capital, radicalized. They've got their former classmate, John McGuire, also from the Ottawa area. He's the man that appeared in an ISIS video claiming to have been just another Canadian kid.
I was one of you. I was a typical Canadian. I grew up on the hockey rink and spent my teenage years on stage playing guitar. I had no criminal record, I was a bright student, and maintained a strong GPA in university. So how could one of your people end up in my place? And why is it that your own people are the ones turning against you at home? The answer is that we have accepted the true call of the prophets and the messengers of God.
Now, McGuire is presumed dead, but he's still recruiting through his video. He's recruiting others to the cause of the jihad. Also appearing in court, Suleiman Mohammed, facing charges of participating in a terrorist cell. The man arrested last week for a plot to blow up the American consulate here in Toronto, also in court. You've got the Via Rail plot still before the courts in Toronto, the Victoria bombing plot, that's still on trial out there. And if you look at every major Canadian city across the country, there are either people there facing charges for their participation in Islamic terrorism, or there were people there and they've since left to go join the jihad. They've left from London, Ontario to take place in that gas plant bombing. They've left from Toronto to join Al-Shabaab in Somalia. They've left to join the Chechens. They've left to join Al-Qaeda. And yes, they've left to join ISIS. I think it can be safely said that Canadians are concerned about terrorism, radicalization, and the jihadis because of what they see before their very eyes. Canadians don't need Prime Minister Stephen Harper to tell them that this is a real threat, although I'm sure they appreciate his clear language on the issue.
The fact of the matter is this, ladies and gentlemen, that the international jihadist movement has declared war. They have declared war on anybody who does not think and act exactly as they wish they would think and act. They have declared war and already are executing it on a massive scale on a whole range of countries with which they are in contact. And they have declared war on any country like ourselves that values freedom, openness, and tolerance. And we may not like this and wish it would go away, but it is not going to go away. And this is going to be, unfortunately, the reality of the world that I think we're living in for some time to come, and we're just going to have to face that head on and deal with it.
Now compare that to the people that don't want us link terrorism or jihad to Islam. They want to claim there's no connection with Islam between the various groups, the violence caused by those groups like ISIS and the Islamic faith that they are professing while conducting their horrific deeds. Freedom-loving Muslims, be they secular like Tariq Fatah or religiously observant like Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, they tell us it's foolish not to link these things when we're talking about the jihadis. But that's what this is really all about. This is the heart of Wayne Easter's complaint. He doesn't like the plain language. He doesn't like the links being made. He doesn't like Canadians agreeing with what the Prime Minister is saying. Let me be clear. The threat facing Canada, the biggest threat, is from Islamic terrorism. It's not a threat from those, it's a threat from those that would harm us here and those that would go abroad and then bring the jihad and their radical ideas back to Canada. This is the issue that Parliament and law enforcement need to be dealing with, whether Mr. Easter and his Liberal leader Justin Trudeau like it or not.